What I happened to have found was a paper that my older son had written that was a tribute to me. And I read it and I thought, oh, well, you know what, I'm going to brag a little. I'm going to use his paper as the catalyst for my poetry tonight. And I kind of cut down the intro, because that's the long part. So kind of bear with me. And remember, he's talking about me. Today I would like to give tribute to my mother, who has always been there for me with overwhelming support through the years, expressing her pride in me and her confidence. Though times were extremely difficult while my brothers and sister and I were growing up, Mother remained our source of strength and our sustainer of life. She deserves the utmost recognition for maintaining her courage and dignity throughout all the difficult times. Mom often wrote poetry when she was young, developing an anthology of poems early on in her life. Many of the poems she wrote told a story of some aspect of her life when the poem was written. The most notable ones were written at a time in her life when she struggled to support us, her 4 children. My father had been very abusive, and after 15 years of abuse, she finally drummed up the courage to move us and start a new life. She chose to relocate us in Kahului, Idaho, far away from the world we knew, and often felt alienated. She worked long hours, but still we had very little, often only each other. During this episode in her life, Mom wrote us this poem to teach us a life lesson. I love seeing the way my son interpreted our life and my poetry. It's called The Pauper. I once met a pauper going his way, and I stopped to give him cheer and said, "Have a nice day." Well, he turned and he looked with his wide, glistening eyes, and then he spoke in a voice that gave me utter surprise. "Nice day? Well, of course, ma'am, as always I do. I have a shirt on my back and a sock for one shoe. The dogs in the alley keep me time as I go. They respect me immensely, and that's important, you know. The parks have a fountain that water my thirst. Kind souls throw me pennies for singing a verse. I live and I eat, I laugh and I play. Now, what about you, miss? Will you have a nice day?" Sorry. Falling down. Something Mom realized early on was that in the state of Idaho, prejudice was prevalent. We hadn't ever experienced any of that. Demonstrating the catastrophic event prejudice can have on society, Mom wrote this poem, Daisies. A field of yellow daisies stood, so bright reflections of the sun. A field of yellow daisies stood, and all were virgin, every one. And then a man just passing by trod upon the yellow light. And then a man just passing by plucked a single daisy, white. My heart was saddened as I pleaded, "Why?" "Because," he said, "it marred the rest." My heart was saddened as I pleaded, "Why?" "Because," he said, "it was colorless." And the exasperation that had built to a crescendo in Mom's life prompted her to write this poem depicting the feelings wrought by frustration. My favorite going crazy poem. I am entrapped in a sticky web that I have spun, and the more I fight, the more entangled I become. I cannot seem to find a way to say, to show what heaviness has found its home upon my breast. Is there no word, no sound for anguish brought by madness, creeping slowly, gaining slowly? Cannot there be a way of making reason out of something that means nothing but to me? I scream inside this empty shell and hear the echoes louder, louder, hold my ears and hold my heart. Stop, 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 stop. But no, it does no good to rave and carry on, for the madness will come anyway. Slowly, surely, steadily creeping its way upon my brain, etching its path so memory does not, cannot forget the pain. Sweet life, oh sweet, sweet life, Where do you learn such wicked ways? Finally, Mom wrote a poem that showed how little time she had to spend with her children. She worked very hard, yet wanted so much to be with us. This poem, so simple, is a compilation of the many letters she left for us as she darted off to work. It effectively expresses Mom's sadness at the time. It's called Love Note. Dinner is cooked, clothes in the dryer. Do your homework. I'll be home in an hour. Love notes written out in haste. Mother loves, but no time to waste. Feed the cat. Clean up your room. Don't fight too much. I'll see you soon. Love notes written line by line. Mother loves, just has no time. Do the dishes. Bathe early tonight. Keep the doors locked. Leave on the porch light. Love notes written as she runs. Mother loves, but no time for fun. Be good to each other. Help in any way. Stay healthy. Stay happy. We'll be together one day. Love notes written in heavy hand. Mother loves. Who'll understand? Well, we did. Her love, strength, and courage have led me to a great life that otherwise would not have been possible. That was my son's paper. I am lucky. 2 years ago, he took me on a trip around the world to Europe, and next year, he's taking me to Japan and China. He's a good son.
Where do we sign up?
So that was the paper, and that was built on. Those were things from the past, and I just thought it was great the way he received all that and put it into a paper. Shortly after all that, or during that time, I had written this poem, which I had recently found, and anyway, it's called Fate and Me. Fate and me, we do not see eye to eye. I try to change, to rearrange his plans. We fight at night in sleep-filled dreams. I watch him as he draws out paths for me to follow. He says that the me in me seeks far more than the I that I am can be. There are dreams that I hold in my heart, but the distance from the heart to the mind to the hand, he says, is too great to stand, so that my dreams will always be just dreams. Yes, fate and me, we do not see eye to eye. I try to change. I will rearrange his plan.
How am I going to ask everyone to please turn their cell phones off? Thank you. Put them on vibrate.
This one is called The Sakura. And I wrote this, it's a true story. My mom, one day I finally got her to give up some of her history when she was a young girl. And she told me this story. And I had to write it into a poem for her. And it's called The Sakura. My grandfather was Nisei, second generation and proud of Japanese tradition. My mother was Sansei, and proud to be a part of her father's heart that loved his heritage the same as she loved him. It was the bond they shared, the one thing that kept them somehow tied together like string extending from their bellies to the source of their shared pride. She was a young girl with a famous dance troupe, the most famous in Japan, even today. Many of them came to stay, to dance for fame, for fortune, for the sailors who sailed from around the world to Pearl Harbor. She had a suitcase that held her treasures, paper memories of love and pride measured in silent moments of approval. It held an album of photos and newspaper clippings, captured moments of her youth, of colored ribbons dancing in the wind, silk kimonos gliding under paper parasols, fans that fluttered round a painted face, with slanted eyes turned aside and down. Delicate hands and graceful movements told the story of seasons of love and sorrow, like the sad, sad story of the sakura. The cherry blossoms that struggle to recover from winter's death, gasping in the warmth of spring's sweet breath. Only a week, maybe less, that their frail and fragile blossoms last. Pink and white petals stutter. Pink and white petals flutter as April showers spit and stutter into May, falling from the sky to the ground like the dreadful bombs that fell that day. They could see them from their homes, shocked and angered at the display. The red sun mocked how far they had come, betrayed beyond belief by the thing they loved the most. The neighbors said they were taking whole families away. He gathered up her treasures, and behind their house that night, the bonfire burned bright. Crinkled, curling photographs, newspaper clippings turned to ash, childhood dreams and tenuous strings, charred by things they could not comprehend. But no sacrifice was too tall. They were Americans after all. But while the flames still danced, so did she, and so did he. One last time, circling and skipping, graceful hands signaling to their ancestors, come, come. One last time, let us honor you. One last time. Tsuchiga, etageta, tsuchigarita, hayoyoi, uchi no oyama no uireta. This one is called Island Sunset. I'm going to lighten it up. No. Island Sunset. Mango flesh-colored skies with tints of guava's pink delight. Blends of orange from passion fruit's juice splash a canvas with tropical light. Where blue meets blue, avocado green bursts into shades of kiwi, lime. I lick my lips at the sun-kissed sight, and ravenous now I seek you out, to eat my heart's delight. How much time am I done?
I think you've got another minute.
This one is called Only the Wind. Okay. Only the wind. Only the wind came to visit today. He brought me sweet nothings of air. How I do love the sweet nothings he brings when it trails on the tails of despair. The wind speaks to me in soft whisperings, and if I disagree, he fills his lungs and speaks in tongues and argues adamantly, poignantly, then softly, with the powdered scent of my yesteryear. Only the sun came to visit today. She danced lightly on my sill, and with a smile I let her in. I let her wander where she will. She bounced around the golden frames, lighting flames on days gone past. Still life that still lived on and on, my prisoners in glass. But then she blanketed the halls and the dark, she blanketed the walls and the dark, dusty halls came alive with my childhood dreams. Only the dark came to visit today. We sat still in a comfortable silence. Old friends reunited, our fates long decided, as we waited the time away. Thank you.